Hello and welcome to Nigeria, the Road to 2019, a series of programs where Arise News places the audience and the choice at the heart of our coverage of the upcoming presidential elections. I'm Charles Aniagolu. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, all the news, comment and analysis that provide unrivaled insight into Nigeria 2019, including as the general elections fast approach, Nigerian politicians are once again attempting to use religious affinity as a way to garner votes. It's a sensitive issue that often fuels conflict between Christians and Muslims, and clerics from both sides are warning against public endorsements of candidates from the pulpit, with the Christians especially barring their priests from using their church premises as a platform for political activity. But in a country that often sees communal tensions rise as elections draw near, is anyone listening? We speak with the much respected Catholic Archbishop of Abuja. This weekend's Catholic Bishop Conference is taking place at the heart of the Muslim Caliphate in Nigeria's extreme northwest state of Sokoto. The aim is to discuss pastoral engagements, but more importantly, to collaborate with other religions and people of other faiths. It's a move that's been welcomed by the government and many observers who fear that as elections approach, politicians will stoke up tensions by attempting to exploit religious and communal differences. As one bishop put it, that religion has entered into Nigerian politics and governance is not new. What is new is the extent to which religion now dominates national life in this country. In other words, the myth of the secular Nigerian state that purports to separate the institutions of religion from those of government has failed to translate into reality. And there is evidence to suggest that this troublesome religious conflict, especially in the northeastern and middle belt states, will likely affect the upcoming 2019 election. So what to do to prevent yet another religious political conflagration? Well, for more on this, who better to talk to than the Catholic Archbishop of Abuja, His Eminence John Cardinal Onaiyekan. Thank you very much indeed for coming in to talk to us.
Thank you very much, Charles.
Just briefly tell us why you've decided to situate this weekend's Bishops' Conference in Sokoto.
Frankly speaking, one can speak perhaps of a coincidence, really. Actually, the second annual assembly of the Catholic Bishops' Conference is rotated around the nation according to our own ecclesiastical provinces, not geopolitical zones now, but ecclesiastical provinces. We have 9 provinces, and so this particular conference has been zoned to the Kaduna province, and Kaduna province includes Sokoto diocese. The Kaduna province then decided which of the dioceses will host the conference, and that's how Kaduna province informed the rest of us that for this year they have chosen Sokoto as the venue of the conference. As soon as that choice is made, obviously, the kind of questions you have just posed becomes almost inevitable. Why Sokoto? If anybody wants to know why Sokoto, I have given the reason. One look could say is that, is that any significance to that? And I believe, yes, it is significant in the sense that if you are looking for a place where the Catholic faith is very well established and so on, we wouldn't go to Sokoto. Right. Therefore, the fact that we go to Sokoto, where the Catholic Church and Christianity in general is rather lightweight, is more or less like an opportunity to make our presence felt, to encourage the few members, the small presence we have there, and also to highlight this fact that Nigerians of all faiths ought to be at home everywhere. Right.
But I suppose more relevant to the discussion here is the question that as you prepare to hold this all-important bishops' conference, what is your assessment of the state of politics in Nigeria as this country readies for the 2019 election? What considerations will you as bishops have in the back of your minds as you hold that conference?
It is to be expected, like every other Nigerian that has any strong feeling for this country, that the forthcoming general elections in 2019 will definitely occupy our attention and be a major aspect of our discussions. What generally happens is that different bishops have different ideas, very often too depending on the environment from which they come. But the beautiful thing with the Catholic Bishops' Conference is, whatever may be your background, whatever may be your own personal feelings about political issues, there are certain major principles that we all have in common, which are drawn from what we normally call the Catholic social teachings about what politics should be about. So I wouldn't be surprised, therefore, if a lot of emphasis will be put on these essential elements of politics in any form, whether democratic or theocratic or monarchical, or whatever. Whatever the government, what is important that its governance be for the good of the people, the pursuance of the common good, in a spirit of honesty, transparency, rule of law. Those are issues that...
Right. The reason I raise that point is that in the 2015 presidential election, you, along with your other brother bishops, mobilized Catholics and Christians alike against corruption. And that created the impression that you were strongly supporting President Buhari. Was that a correct or an erroneous impression?
I'm afraid mobilization against corruption is a permanent battle and a permanent position. That anybody interpreted it to be in favor of Buhari will be for me only a consequence that some people draw. Definitely, the Bishops' Conference did not mobilize against Jonathan for Buhari. But we definitely mobilized for a good governance.
Yeah, but you felt at the time that corruption had become so endemic in Nigeria as a result of the governance of the PDP who were in charge then, that a way to tackle that corruption was to get rid of the PDP government.
I must say that we were not thinking along party lines. We're not thinking along party lines. We were simply interested in alerting the people of Nigeria that we cannot go on with corruption.
Right. In other words, that you could not go on the way the country was going.
Yes.
Therefore,
and I'm sure
the government had to leave.
And I'm sure even now,
right,
I will still believe we cannot continue the way we are going now. If anybody interprets that to mean that I am against Buhari, so be it. But the fact is, we look at the reality and we as it were, assess, even pass judgment on that reality. Unfortunately, right, what happens is that the state of a nation, the government in power has to accept responsibility for it. Maybe that was perhaps the kind of, you might consider it, what gave that impression. And I'm sure when we start assessing and passing judgment on the problems of the country today, of course, people are like, we can only blame those who are in charge for what is happening. Right. So there will be a kind, almost like a recurrent decimal to it. I think it is difficult perhaps for people to distinguish a position taken on the basis of principle from one party versus the other.
Well, obviously, when those principles are being sort of articulated at a time of that electoral processes are taking place, then people are bound to interpret it as an indictment of the government in power and as a message to find an alternative. What I was going to ask you is that as you once again look to the 2019 ballot, 2015 you focused on corruption. What are you going to be focusing on this time around in 2019?
Corruption has not gone yet. Corruption has not gone yet. And I'm sure we are going to remind ourselves that we are still in the woods, not yet Uhuru.
But a fight against corruption is taking place, though, isn't it?
Pardon?
Is there a fight against corruption taking place that you would encourage for that path to be maintained?
Well, I will not preempt the discussions of the conference that we are about to hold next week. But if it does arise that we have to again, as it were, assess even the fight against corruption, because that too has to be assessed. How far has it gone? How successful has it been? How genuine has it been? These are issues that are being raised and will be raised not only by us, Bishops' Conference, it's been raised by Nigerians all along.
Right, and what is your assessment of those questions you just raised?
Well, my own personal assessment, that of course that corruption has not gone, and that it is still going on. And that the methods that have been used so far have not succeeded in dealing with corruption decisively.
But do you detect a sincerity of purpose on the part of the Buhari government to fight corruption?
Sincerity of purpose is a matter that depends on the person concerned. But we can only look at the impact. By their fruits, we shall know them. Mind you, some people are sincere and still wrong.
Right.
They may be sincere, but I only look at the impact, the fact that corruption is still going on. And it's not me saying it. Even the news items that are coming, even out of official sources, is saying...
Well, in fairness to you, a new report just came out by the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, which suggests that's a Washington-based respected foreign policy think tank, which says that they discovered that there's no difference in the levels of corruption between the PDP and the APC, and that both take advantage of their position corruptly. That is the latest that we're getting from them.
Well, it's interesting that it's coming from America, but you don't have to go that far to arrive at this conclusion. All you need to do is talk to Nigerians. I mean the ordinary Nigerians, not Nigerians with axes to grind or Nigerians with agendas to promote, but just the ordinary man on the ground. If you ask him whether there's been much change, most people, they have not seen much change.
Right.
In fact, you might say that most people are wondering, what was this change all about? And I'm afraid this is our predicament. This is our predicament. And I once mentioned, it was widely reported, that I believe that Nigeria is right now at a political emergency condition. Put it this way. For 8 years, we had PDP government. Then a group came together under APC. We now know that it was just a group that came together under APC. A group came together under APC and promised us that they were going to change everything. And people wanted to hear the music. People wanted to hear the music and prayed and hoped that it would be so. 3 years have gone by. I'm still to see how many people are as enthusiastic about it as we were 2015. So you end up that you've tried one, you have tried the second. We are not too sure anymore. And we are being told that really there's no other choice between outside of A and B. There is no plan C. And for me, that is serious. Now, it doesn't mean that we are condemned to despair. We are condemned to despair. I'm still hoping that having seen what has happened, more and more Nigerians will begin to agree that we really do need to change.
Right. Okay, I'm going to ask you,
Yes.
Cardinal, to hold that thought, because we'd like to talk with you some more. You're watching Nigeria, the road to 2019, plenty more still ahead, including we continue our chat with the Catholic Archbishop of Abuja, His Eminence John Cardinal Onaiyekan. Stay with us.